Hello， 大家早上好，欢迎来到 GMIC 在线2020的直播间，我是本场直播的主持人海月。由长城会主办的 GMIC 在线2020，今天的精彩内容主要分3个板块。上午9点到下午4点是我们的有效的生长板块，我们将一起学习前沿科技，思考如何效率增长。下午4点到8点是无边界想象力板块，我们一起天马行空，放飞思维。晚上8点到12点是浪漫星空板块，我们将一起畅游星海，探索宇宙。GMIC 在线2020将于9点准时开始。那谁是我们的第一位嘉宾呢？让我们拭目以待。接下来我们有请第一位重磅嘉宾，是坐标位于西雅图的艾伦人工智能研究所的 CEO Oren Etzioni， 为我们带来主题分享。那话不多说 ，Let's welcome Oren。请导播将画面切给他。Hi Oren。
Hello.
Hi.
你好。
你好。Okay, I'm glad to see you, and now you can start your lecture.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. I've had 3 chances in my life to visit China. Each time I learn more about it. And unfortunately, in this time, I am giving the talk remotely, but I will do my best to make it interesting and clear, and then to have some questions and dialogue. I am in Seattle at the Allen Institute for AI. And click here to start it. I want to start by talking about the fact that artificial intelligence, AI, evokes a lot of fear in people for a wide variety of different reasons. I want to highlight in my talk today the potential benefits of AI, how AI can help us. My colleague Eric Horowitz from Microsoft Research, he's now Microsoft's Chief AI Officer, he says that it's the absence of AI technologies that is already killing people. In other words, if we don't make the best use that we can of AI, we will suffer for it. And of course, transportation is a great example of this, right? We have many accidents on the highways and the roads in the United States and in China and elsewhere, of course. And self-driving cars and AI-based safety devices can really help. But in this talk, I will focus on more topical things. Of course, the use of AI to fight COVID-19 in various ways. But before I do that, let me just talk about, to make sure we're all on the same page, I want to talk about exactly what AI is. And I think there it's really important to separate the science of AI, what's real, what's realistic, from science fiction, which is what we see in the movies, like the movie The Terminator and other movies, right? And in stories. And so what is AI today really? A lot of the successes that we hear about in AI, including the AI system that plays Go and the AI systems that do speech recognition and machine translation, they all boil down to one very simple, at least conceptually very simple technology. And that's what I describe on this slide. And this is probably my most technical slide for today. And it's a simple equation. It shows how do we create AI success, and that is using a technology called machine learning. That technology combines a number of categories. Like here I show different animals like cats and dogs and birds. And then we have examples of these categories that are labeled. This picture is an example of a dog. This picture is an example of a cat. And then we feed the data in the categories into an algorithm. Nowadays, we use neural networks or deep learning, but we've actually been doing this for several decades. And out of that comes a predictive model. And then we give that predictive model a new picture, and it says, oh, that animal, that's a bird, or that animal, that is a cat. That basic framework is being used in many, many different arenas. It can be used to predict prices. It can be used to predict who has COVID-19. It can be used to predict fraud in credit cards. It can be used to drive, to decide whether we should turn left or right when we're trying to follow the road in our car. The important thing to understand, as I say on the bottom of the slide, is all this work is created via manual labor. The name machine learning is really a misnomer. We call it machine learning, but most of the work is being done by people. So machine learning today is still 99% human work. All the inputs, what's called the target concepts, the label data that we talked about, the algorithm, the neural network design, assessing the output and making changes so we can improve this. All this work is done by hardworking people in different places. So this is important to understand that AI is a tool, like a pencil, like a computer, like Google. And it's up to us, of course, to employ this tool for the common good in accordance with our values. And so in that context, the late Paul Allen, who was the co-founder of Microsoft, the company, he founded the Allen Institute for AI, or AI2 as we called it, in 2014. And he asked me to lead it, be the CEO. I was a professor for many years and also created startup companies. This is a big opportunity for me. And our mission is AI for the common good, using AI as a tool to make the world a better place. Over the last 6 years, we've become a leader in the world in computer vision, in natural language processing, in deep learning. We've published more than 300 papers. We've gotten 9 Best Paper Awards. We've distributed data sets. We've created leaderboards. We've done a lot of academic work. And at this point, we have more than 150 AI PhDs, researchers and engineers and others on our team. We have a smaller office at UC Irvine. We have another small office in Tel Aviv, Israel. And who knows, maybe one day we will be in the position to have an office in China. That would be an honor. So in addition to doing research, let me tell you a little bit more about what we do that is quite practical. So for example, we also incubate startup companies. We created a company called XNOR. It was based on research on how to do deep learning, what's called on the edge, on a device like a phone or even a doorbell or a camera, where we want to run AI algorithms, but we don't want to upload all the data to the cloud, to a central computer. The problem with doing that is it can violate privacy, or it can require a lot of bandwidth. If we're uploading images, that can take a lot of time. If we're using a drone or a car, we can't necessarily rely on the internet to support that all the time. So 2 founders, who Ali Farhadi and Mohammed Rastagari, who were at AI2, based on their research of how to do this kind of AI processing on a phone with limited battery use and very high accuracy, they created XNOR. It was funded by a venture capitalist firm called Madrona Venture Group that also was the earliest funder in Amazon.com and many other companies in Seattle. And then they built some of the best technology for analyzing visual data using very, very little battery power. At some point, they even had a sensor that could just get its energy from the sun, a solar-powered sensor. It's extremely, extremely low use of power. And just in the beginning of this year, in January, the company was acquired by Apple Computer for a very substantial sum of money, reported to be about $200 million. So this is by way of saying that we are interested in taking our research, in this case in 2016, and going all the way to practical applications. And this took us some 4 years in this case. Another place where we have practical application is we have a search engine called Symantec Scholar. It's available at www.symantecscholar.org. It's free and it's available 24/7. I encourage all of you to check it out. Maybe not everybody at the same time because it will crash, but it should be available in China. It's accessible through your phone and so on. And what this free search engine does is it uses AI technology to make the process of finding academic papers easier, allowing you to focus in on the right paper and focus in on the key results. It extracts tables and figures and specific results based on that. It allows you to look at the citation relationships. It's a very powerful engine when we have millions and millions of papers, and it now has over 180 million papers, and it covers all disciplines from art and history to computer science and biology and so on. And we are continually improving it to make scientists and researchers better at their jobs. Even if you're not a scientist or a researcher, we often connect papers with software so you can look up the code or with the data, or even with a blog post or a news article so you can see the summary of what's going on in a more accessible or understandable way. Now, the Symantec Scholar team, earlier, about a month ago, was called on by the American White House, by the Office of Science and Technology Policy, to build a machine-readable data set about COVID-19 and SARS and related information. They wanted to take all the relevant papers and put them in a machine-readable form so that search technology and natural language processing technology and AI in general could be used to try and draw insights out of this information. We're very proud that within 1 week, we were able to do this, and in collaboration with Microsoft, with the National Institutes of Health, with the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation, which started by Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, and several other bodies. We're able to put this together. It's grown now. This data set is now 57,000 papers. It's freely available for anyone to use. Right now, all the papers are in English, but we are very much interested in adding papers in Chinese and in other languages. So this is one way that we at AI2 are really trying to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic. I wanted to take a step back and talk about a little bit more broadly about how AI can help with COVID-19 and, of course, pandemics in general. The first place is it was widely reported that a company called Blue Dot was one of the first places in the world, one of the first organizations that was able to warn about COVID-19, and that was using a wide variety of data that they accessed and AI technology built on top of that. Not only are people use AI to provide early warning, but also to track and map the spread of the disease. The data is noisy and confusing, and we have seen various AI models that are trying to do their best to track the progress of the disease, and obviously with the goal of having fewer people be sick. Another class of AI technology here is robots. So in many situations, including, as I understand, in Wuhan, it was important to have robots reduce human contact. And that's obviously to both provide care for patients and to protect human health workers. So this is a technology that is just getting started, but we really believe that in future situations, there's a lot of potential for robots to both have very rapid response and to protect healthcare workers. Another place where AI technology is used is to diagnose infections, right? So we are building these tests They're not 100% reliable. And we've seen in many medical arenas the ability to take labeled data and train models to detect cancer and various other diseases. So this is another place where AI can help in having faster tests and more effective diagnosis. Then the last place is we're, of course, all racing to come up with drugs that will help sick people in this case, and trying to come up with a vaccine. And this is a very complex process because we need to analyze the virus, its chemical structure, whether various drugs would be safe if they're repurposed against this virus, and so on and so on. And this is a massive problem in the searching all the possible proteins and all the possible drugs and all the possible vaccines. Well, AI technology is very, very good at doing a massive search. Again, think of searching all the possible go positions or all the possible chess positions. That is the sort of thing that AI techniques have shown themselves to be very powerful at. So again, we are seeing some progress along these lines, and already some suggested drugs and proteins, AI systems have come up with them. The last point I want to make, of course, is that AI systems are very, very far from foolproof. They still make a lot of mistakes. The data can change, and they don't have common sense. They're not a perfect solution. Again, it's a tool amongst the many tools that we use, but it is the tool that I and my colleagues know, and we are working hard. We are working day and night to continue to improve the tools so that we can better fight this epidemic and also the next ones that come down the road. And with that, I will stop, and I'd be very happy to take your questions. Thank you so much for your attention, and please try our technology, SymantecScholar.org, and give us your feedback on how to make it better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oren. Thank you for your wonderful lecture. And right now we are going to introduce Dr. Wu Jun to have the further discussion with you. 接下来呢，我们将会邀请坐标位于硅谷的知名学者、投资人吴军博士，两位呢将会为我们带来硅谷来信，疫情后硅谷将何去何从的讨论。So let's welcome Oren and Dr. Wu Jun. 现在请导播将 Oren 和吴军博士的信号接到主会场。
Hello.
嗨，吴军博士好 ，Oren 好。
你好，你好。
So you guys.
So actually, I have 5 questions for the professor. Yeah. Actually, you answered partially on my questions, so I probably changed my question slightly. So first 2 questions are still related to the coronavirus pandemic. Okay. So the first question, my question was actually, so as the pandemic takes hold, so governments and companies and individuals all need to make decisions based on the prediction of its trends. However, because we still don't have so many data, and we have like data from maybe hundreds of thousands of people, but not millions of people, billions of people. So the predictions so far were not very reliable, and many predictions will contradict each other and were somewhat biased. So is there any way to borrow data from maybe some medical data or health insurance data so that we can make a more precise prediction using maybe, I don't know, the medical records, or maybe millions of people or billions of people? So is there any better way to make a more precise prediction?
Yes, well, first of all, Doctor, thank you for taking the time to join me today, to join us and to ask questions. I really appreciate it. And of course, your question is a very good one. In computer science, right, as you know, we like to say garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
This technology is hungry for a lot of data. If you
Yeah.
give it a little bit of data, it's like giving 1 grain of rice at the restaurant, right? That is not very satisfactory, of course. And so I agree with you that we want to find as many sources of data as possible. There are two concerns, and they're very different when we try to add data to the equation. So, one concern is, let's say we take data from SARS, or we take data from the flu. Now, the problem is the data, we have more data, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit different. So, we don't want to draw the wrong lessons. For example, people are debating whether COVID-19 is seasonal, right? Whether in the hot weather in the summer it will do better. And the answer is that if we just look at the flu data, we might draw the wrong conclusion. The second concern about data is the concern about privacy. A lot of people here and in Europe are concerned that if we provide medical data, then we will hurt people's privacy. I personally feel like this is a big mistake. I feel like in a situation where we are urgently trying to save lives and trying
Yes.
to prevent the pandemic, now is a time to suspend privacy regulations. We can come back to that, but I am a big supporter of using as much data as we can, using contact tracing, right, technology for finding out who was infected, because the truth is that if somebody dies, they have no privacy. They are dead. And it's our job to save lives. So I very much agree with your statement. We need more data. We need to look at medical records, and that will really help.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we already noticed that maybe 50% of people died in the disease actually have some like the history of maybe overweight, heart attack diseases. So if we can use this data and so we can we know where we should put more effort on actually. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and my second question actually is still related to the pandemic. So no matter what kind of strategy each country takes, it seems that it will eventually reach a point of herd immunity anyway. So of course, we hope that we reach this point by everybody taking vaccine instead of being infected. And we know that there are almost 20 companies try to develop vaccine, but the process of developing, testing, and the licensing of vaccine for widespread population use is very slow. It's problem of policy, and also it's a hard problem anyway. So could you give us more? You mentioned that maybe AI can help. Could you give us a little more details how big data and the AI technology can speed up this procedure? Because I think all people in the world are looking for vaccine today.
Sure. So there are at least two specific ways that AI can help get us to a vaccine faster. So the first way, as I was saying about proteins and searches, we are trying to generate ultimately a chemical compound that is safe to inject to the people. And I don't know if people in China saw, but President Trump said that maybe we should inject disinfectant like bleach or something like that. Yeah, and that was very, frankly, very embarrassing to the American people and also ultimately to him, because it's a very, very dangerous and bad idea. But AI hopefully can generate more specific and more interesting ideas by analyzing the chemistry of the virus and so on. And it's not just about a vaccine. For example, we have so many questions like, does washing with soap help? How long does the virus survive on certain surfaces? What drugs will help? And all these questions can be answered by better, faster analysis of the chemistry. And people are using AI for that, and people are publishing this information. The second thing is I mentioned figures like 57,000 papers or 180 million papers in Symantec Scholar. The number of papers coming out about COVID-19 is very large and is growing very quickly. Soon, if we haven't already been there, there's thousands per week and maybe per day. And it starts to be extremely difficult to keep up. So again, we use AI to point us to the key papers or to the key results. Let's say I want to know, you mentioned some of these risk factors. What do we know about the relationship between type 2 diabetes and mortality and so on? Being able to pull that out of a paper, maybe even a paper in a foreign language, is very, very important. So again, if we are able to make scientists and medical researchers work faster, that will be, I think, good for everybody. So I see those as the main ways that we can help. You also mentioned herd immunity, and of course, we want to get there, and we may get there with a lot of people being infected. But I want to point out that a big concern, at least here in the United States, I'm not as informed about China, was not to overwhelm the hospitals. So we have only so many beds in the intensive care units. And for example, in the state of Washington, where I live in Seattle, there was the worry that there would be more patients than there are intensive care units. And then we wouldn't be able to take care of all of them. We wouldn't even be able to take care of people who have the flu, because all of those are devoted to COVID-19. We feel very fortunate that through a series of measures, we're able to do what's called flatten the curve. So instead of the curve going like this, it's kind of gone like this. And we were approaching herd immunity, maybe slower, but also with fewer deaths. So I think that is the thinking, at least here.
Okay, all right, thank you. So the third question actually is about working at home or study at home. So many people have to work or study at home now, and this situation, I think, may last for a while. However, the IT infrastructure of many cities and many countries couldn't support so many people using video conferences or transferring huge amounts of data at the same time. So do you think this is an opportunity for 5G telecommunication to take off, especially in this scenario?
Well, I have a very short answer to that question, and that is yes. But I will obviously elaborate a little bit. We have really seen certain services, whether it's Zoom teleconferencing or Amazon shipping of goods, and I'm sure the same is true in China for other companies, really explode. And so we do think that the need for fast internet and 5G is going to go up. And remember, we don't know, well, obviously you know this, when we will be able to fully go back. And even there, it will be gradual. And even if we go back to work, right, there can be setbacks. And what happens next winter? And what happens when the virus evolves? So it seems to me like we need 5G ASAP.
ASAP. So, and do you know what's the status of the deployment of 5G network in the United States?
Well, you know, in the United States, we are taught that we are the world leaders technologically, medically, etc. And it is a little bit embarrassing to me that we see that's not true. It took us a long time to develop adequate tests, and we are behind in 5G deployment in this country relative to certainly countries in Southeast Asia. And so there's some deployment, but it's very early in the United States. We are behind.
Okay, and also a question about working at home. So, and basically a teleconference. So we read lots of articles in the last couple of weeks. People are concerning about the privacy issue of using teleconference. Do you think it's a big problem, and or it's just a panic? People who don't know technologies.
Well, I think if it is what we found, right, is that there were meetings that were supposed to be private, whether inside a company or with government officials, and other people were able to penetrate those meetings. So I think that is undesirable. For me, I don't use passwords, in Zoom for my meetings, or I have a 9-year-old boy, and today he cannot play with the other kids because of social distancing. Today he was talking to 2 girls from school, and they were having a very good time. And I don't think anybody is that interested in what they were saying. So I think that perhaps the concern is overblown in general, but for specific private conversations, obviously we need additional protection.
Okay. So my next question is about starting at home. So you mentioned your kid is at home now. So my daughter actually goes to school from home every day. So I think most of students, if not all, from primary school to colleges, take courses online now. So do you think students can learn as effective online as in traditional in-person classrooms?
Well, I'm not an expert on education and so on, but and of course there are many variations on this, the way that it's done, even Coursera and Udacity and different universities. But at the same time, and of course also depends on the person. But I think at the same time, it's really quite clear that we are social animals. You mentioned herd immunity, right? We need that social contact. We need that interaction. And so it's clear that it is both more exhausting, right, to interact via video conference. And at the same time, it's not as good. It's not as good. So I think that there will be some more and more elements of education that are remote, but we still need very much the human interaction. Behind me, I don't know if you can see, the whole wall in my office is a
whiteboard.
Right, exactly. And so my colleagues and I, when we're in the office, we're standing next to each other. We're drawing on the whiteboards, and we're writing, and we're talking. And these sorts of things are still, we cannot do them in Zoom unless, of course, over time, new technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, when they come in, maybe then instead of seeing you in a square on my screen, it will feel like you are right next to me.
So actually, we are. It's my next question, but I still want to focus on education so far. And I think maybe from 10 years ago, like Coursera or those kind of online education tools are become very popular. So do you think in the future, and many students, especially like I think master students, will get their degree from degree online instead of going to college because it costs them less tuition overall?
Yeah, I think we have a mega trend, right? So think about you're talking about education. Think about medicine, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to do as much medicine as possible using what's called telehealth. Think about buying a piece of fruit. I used to go to the store. My wife used to go to the store. We pick good fruit and good vegetables. Now we have something called Instacart. They deliver it, and the bananas are green, and it's not as good, but it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot more accessible with all these things. So to your point, yes, I do think that the cost of education, right, in this country has skyrocketed, and the cost of medicine has skyrocketed. And part of the solution is going to be to do it more remotely. At the same time, I think a lot of the times it won't be as good, right? Yes, I think that it will become a lot more popular, but generally speaking, the best education will still be more interactive.
Okay. And a problem I thought of actually was if many people get their degree online, do you think more and more teacher and more and more students will get degree? No, go to the virtual classroom of the best teachers instead of others, so that maybe I don't know some professor have 100,000 students and other professor don't have students. Is it possible?
Absolutely. I think that is already happening in the sense that, for example, I was teaching for 25 years and I would teach, I don't know, computer algorithms. And, one time the lecture would be good, another year maybe is not as good, maybe I was tired and so on. But imagine of all the people in the world lecturing them, there's one person or maybe two people, right, who are amazing. They're so clear, they explain the concept so well. Why should the students listen to my lecture, right, or maybe to a lecture of yours, instead of listening to really the best person at it? So I do think that we've already seen some of this with Coursera, and we will have professors with maybe even millions of students, and a lecture will be acknowledged as this is the best lecture on this topic. The place where there'll still be room for more personal work is in a different skill set, which is if I have 1 million students and they start asking questions, right, I cannot answer all of them. So we can have more interaction there. Or if you submit a paper or software and it needs to be graded, right, that's where, and I need to explain, okay, you made this kind of mistake and here's the bug in your software. So I think that it will be a hybrid model, some elements online and some elements more interactive.
Okay, so maybe in the future, the best professors will get like millions of students and others will be degraded to something like TA,
right? Yeah, but a TA is a very important job. But yeah, maybe here is a good analogy, right? It's like music, right? We have, Taylor Swift or whatever. We have people who have millions, if not billions of followers. And then we have people who play in the neighborhood bar, right? Or we have karaoke, right? So I think that it will be more like that, yes.
Okay. So next question is about VR. So because I think today nobody goes to movie theater now, and we just heard that AMC filed bankruptcy. But so many people watch movie at home, but still, to me, the quality or experience of watching a movie at home cannot match the experience at movie theater. So, do you think maybe VR will be a good solution in this scenario?
Yes, I do think that VR, virtual reality, and AR, augmented reality, right, have a lot of possibilities, and certainly for the scenario that you described. And even watching movies virtually together. So, if there's a funny movie and my wife and I laugh, that's fun. But if there's 100 people around us and we're all laughing, that's even more fun. Now, you can simulate those people using certain technology, but if they are virtually there, using, the Zoom 10.0, right, the next generation of technology, I think that will be a lot more fun. And actually, if we are able to build this technology, it's good, because do I really want to drive to the theater and, find parking and, listen to people cough and so on? If we can find ways to be together, but still in our own living rooms, that might not be so bad.
Okay. So the first time actually I heard VR was about almost 30 years ago. So when I was PhD students. So I heard a lecture from MIT professor. They developed this technology in academic. And so it becomes popular again, maybe 7 or 8 years ago when Facebook purchased Oculus. But then it cooled down. So what's the major problem prevent VR from widely used? Is this the speed or CPU or network or network content? What's the problem actually?
Wow. Well, again, I'm an AI expert, but I will share what I understand quickly. I think the first is just the weight of the device, okay?
Yeah.
So it's a problem of miniaturization, right? I would like the VR to be in my glasses right here.
Okay.
Last time I went to State of VR, I took a big thing and put it on my head, and I was like, yeah, that was a problem. The second one is in the rendering, right? Real-time rendering of reality in 360. It's still, not 100% real. And that's both the speed issue, but also the fact that reality is textured, it's complicated, and we don't know how to do that yet 100%. But I do believe that these problems will be solved, and maybe we will see more and more success even in the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay, thank you. So my last question actually is about self-drive car or auto-drive car. So I ordered food online. Most of maybe 70% of food are online. The problem actually we had was either Costco or Safeway, whatever food store, they don't have many drivers to deliver the food. So this remind me self-drive car or auto-drive car. So how far away do you think like a self-drive car, if not serve as taxis, take people to the road, but just deliver food, how far away is that?
Well, we were, I think, a year or two ago, overly optimistic about self-driving cars. So I think that even if you ignore regulations, if you just talk about the technology being ready, I think that the technology to be on par, right, the same level as a human driver, I think it is still quite a ways off. What I think is much more realistic is that we will see the use of either safety devices, so people are driving and sensors and other AI systems help them avoid accidents, and also use in limited scenarios, so maybe shorter speed or delivery robots that are just on the sidewalk, things like that, and move very slowly. But I think that the notion that I could order something from Costco or what have you, and it comes to me in a car without a driver, I think that is still far away. We're not able to do that. And again, if tying this back to artificial intelligence, and since this is your last question, I've been working on artificial intelligence for more than 30 years. And if there's anything that I've developed is a humility in terms of the human mind. It is still the case that what I have here and what you have there, and each and every one of you is still more powerful and more nuanced and more capable than the best computers. And if you see the computer, the AI system, beat Lee Sedol in Go, you think, my God, okay, surely if it can win in Go, it can do everything else. But the AI systems, they cannot drive. They cannot really talk. They cannot really understand. That's why I said in my talk, these are tools. And the tools can be only used in very narrow circumstances. And driving is not a narrow circumstance. So many unanticipated things can happen while we're driving. And so for this reason, it's still a long ways off.
So probably to be practical, the first goal should be like a computer aided driving, just like autopilot or commercial jets, right?
Exactly, exactly. And we have seen this. For example, Mobileye, the Israeli company that was acquired by Intel for about, I think it was $15 billion, right? It had early warning devices. And now every car manufacturer, including Volvo, right? I've been in some new Volvos, right? Owned by China, putting a lot of early warning systems and to warn you when you're changing lanes, right? And things like that. So yes, we can do a lot before we have fully self-driving cars.
Okay, so I think we still have some time. So let me ask one more question, just one more. So I think coronavirus pandemic will change the world dramatically. I mean, we cannot get back after this pandemic. So in technology, what will be the trend you can see in the near future because of this change?
Well, I think that some of the things that you alluded to, which is the use of big data to help medicine and the use of technology to support remote work. I think, of course, we will have a big relief when we can be out in the street and we can be together, maybe in a stadium or a movie theater. But unfortunately, this is not the last pandemic, right? People talk about the Spanish flu of was 1912, or 1918, but we forgot there was something called the Hong Kong flu in the 60s. At least it was called that here, and many millions of people died. So I think that the work on early warning systems, the work on AI in medicine, hopefully that will not go backwards. We will continue with that, and maybe also to fight climate change. Right. For example, in my workplace, we have work from home. Even before COVID-19, right now we're working from home every day. But we had one day, Thursdays, everybody is working from home. Well, maybe this will change and we'll have that 2 days a week. So that saves time and saves gasoline and has better technology. So I do think that there will be some real changes, and technology is often helping those changes.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Etzioni. Yeah, very nice to meet you.
Thank you for your questions. Nice to meet you, and thank you everybody that was listening. If you have more questions, send me email. You can find my email online.
Yeah.
And again, it's a real pleasure to join you.
Okay, thank you. 好，谢谢现场的所有的观众。我们今天的会谈就到此结束。
谢谢。
好的，非常感谢吴军博士和 Oren 的对话。